this before. From the Weather Channel, this is Atmospheres.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Mish Michaels.
And I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori, and this is Atmospheres, a magazine show designed to bring you a new and different look at the weather and how it affects your life.
First, we turn our attention to the oil industry. If you've been to the gas station lately, you know that oil is a hot commodity these days. Oil companies are going to great lengths to get oil out of the ground, often drilling the ocean floor.
Out in the open waters, oil rigs need to be immobile. Workers need to know what weather conditions are like above the water as well as underneath it. This includes looking at sea surface temperatures and ocean currents. Our own Bob Stokes traveled to the Gulf of Mexico and guides us through a day with the drill team.
You need only fly over the Gulf of Mexico to see that it's a hotspot for oil production and exploration. Exploration that could yield billions of barrels worth of oil and natural gas.
You know, we're just about to max out the reserves of the oil that is in the shallower water, and I mean, we just got to go to unknown areas, which is the deep water, to obtain the reserves.
Drilling in that deep water means living in what feels like the middle of nowhere. We're headed to the middle of nowhere to visit the drill ship Discoverer Spirit, positioned about 260 miles away from New Orleans. From the sky, the drill ship seems like a vulnerable dot in the middle of the ocean. This 835-foot-long ship, which is owned by Transocean Sedco Forex, is a beehive of activity.
We're drilling a well here in about 7,000 feet of water depth. And we're going to be drilling to a depth of approximately 28,000 feet.
If the drill ship strikes oil, production equipment will be installed to extract it while the Spirit moves on to drill another well. This is a 24-hour operation. The work on this rig never stops. They've got enough power to light up a small city, and as you can see, they use it. That work translates into long hours. For most crews, 12-hour shifts are the norm, with many shifts running through the night. Workers rotate on and off the ship every 2 or 3 weeks, which means they only see their families for about half the year.
It takes a really special kind of woman to put up with what we do for a living, because they're stuck in a situation where they've got 100% of the responsibility and decision making for a family 50% of the time. That takes somebody special.
It's not just the families who have to adjust. Living on an isolated rig for weeks at a time requires a tough mental outlook. Crew members must be willing to change their lifestyles in order to get the work done.
Can't do what I want to do. I mean, I'm an outdoors person, and there's no outdoors out here. Strange as it may sound, out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico.
We have quite a few people come out here. They'll last for 1 or 2 hitches, and then they'll resign because they determine that this is not for them. They want to be able to go home at the end of the day, see their family. It's not for everybody. There's really no one type of person that likes being out here. You just have to be a little different.
One of the biggest challenges the crew faces is dealing with weather that comes from all directions. When you're living in the middle of the Gulf, it's impossible to escape the forces of nature.
Well, we've seen the whole gamut of the Gulf weather, everything from hot, balmy, dead calm days. I don't guess you call them howling blue northers here, but some pretty serious hurricane fringes.
You can get some fairly significant winter storms that can brew up very fast. 20, 25-foot seas is not unheard of at all.
We had a problem a week and a half or so ago with a lot of waves breaking over the starboard side. It does snow out here sometimes, and it's really cold.
The weather can make the crew uncomfortable, but in many ways, that's the least of their worries. The more serious issue is how it affects their ability to drill. About 150 people work on this ship, but the crew members who most often deal with the weather are in here. This is the Dynamic Positioning Central Control Room. This room is the key to keeping the oil rig in the same location. Remember, this drill ship is punching a hole thousands of feet into the ocean floor. It must remain stable.
Staying in one place allows them to drill below where we're at. We have no anchors or anything like that. It'd be kind of hard for 7,000 feet of water to have anchors.
So how does a rig stay in place without anchors when it's being knocked around by the wind, waves, and current? That's the question I asked Dynamic Positioning Operator Chris Hudson. He explained that the ship relies on its 6 thrusters.
Thruster is basically a big propeller, and the ones we got are about 14 foot in diameter, 7,000 horsepower.
The thrusters can swivel to point in any direction to counteract the wind and waves. The ship's bow is usually turned into the wind to minimize the weather's effect.
This right here is telling you how far we off our desired location right now, 0.6 feet. Okay. We can stay a little bit within 2 meters unless we get a big gust of wind or something. These are our thrusters here, which are reacting to the forces right now that are acting on us.
Are they like compensating and trying to adjust for that 6 feet?
Yeah.
Overall, in your position, in dynamic positioning, how often does the weather play a role in your job?
Constantly. You know, we rely heavily on accurate weather forecasts.
Operators like Hudson gather data from weather sensors around the ship that track wind speeds. The computer uses that data to position the ship accordingly. If the ship gets pushed 250 feet away from the well, it will have to disconnect, an expensive setback. Has the weather ever been so bad on your shift when you became concerned in a big way?
On this ship, not really. On past ships, we've got pushed off 25, 30, maybe 50 feet. The most I've seen on here in bad weather, we would every now and then, extra large swell would come through and push us off about 15 feet.
Is that how bad is 15 feet?
15 feet's nothing in 7,000 feet of water.
Capable as these drill ships are, there is some weather they can't handle.
Whenever there's a tropical storm or hurricane coming into the Gulf, most of the rigs out here in the Gulf will evacuate personnel, non-essential personnel first. That would be me.
If a hurricane comes through, especially a Category 5, we'll be leaving, running for shelter just like everyone else.
Because the exact tracks of hurricanes are difficult to predict very far in advance, offshore drilling rigs start to pull up stakes when they are still days away. With all this heavy equipment hanging below the ship, running for shelter isn't as simple as it sounds.
We can't just leave, you know, we can't do that. We probably got 30 to 50 hours, depending on how deep we are and what kind of operation we got going on, before we can leave. So we have to get the riser, we have to disconnect.
Everybody's involved, all the way to the galley people and the laundry room people, you know, because our hours may not be just quite what we expect. A lot of us will be missing meals. A lot of us will send out, hey man, go get me a burger, would you? We gotta go. We don't hurry, but we work expediently.
Jerry, where do you get your weather information?
Well, we get it from several sources. We've got the Weather Channel, we've got the internet, we've got weather faxes from dedicated services.
As difficult as life is on this kind of rig, most of the crew looks at it philosophically.
We only work half a year, and that's what I like. Where else do you get 182 days of vacation?
A lot of people hunt, fish, race, water ski, travel. It's hard to do that when you just got weekends off and you've got weekends to paint the house, cut the grass.
You're more appreciative of home once you get back after 2 weeks out here. A good meal, cold beer, makes it all worthwhile.
In 2001, the Discoverer Spirit is planning to drill a well in water nearly 10,000 feet deep. If they succeed, it will be a record. It's the kind of goal that makes living in the elements seem worthwhile.
Drilling a deep water depth well it's really exciting. Everybody gets a piece of it. Everybody's in on it. Everybody gets a t-shirt.
Personal gratification is one of the things that come with this job, to be able to say that you've done something no one else has done before.
It's something to be proud of, something to be a part of. No record will stand forever, but we'll keep making them.
And when the water gets choppy, the rig is a tough place to be. Mish?
Here at the Weather Channel, we're all